Welcome back to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain. And this afternoon, we have two very special guests on Pull Your Heels with Lillian, Lalanii and Treavion, who both wrote a book called Sugar Mama, a Keilanii Jennings Saga. So, good morning, ladies. How are you this beautiful, cloudy, hot day?
Fantastic.
Great. I am delighted to hear from you both. Usually by now, parents are already complaining they want their kids to go back to school, but since school is not open, that's not going to happen, right?
Right.
What decided both of you to collaborate on a book and get it out there? A little background information so people understand who you are and where you're going.
Mm-hmm. You want to take that one, Lalanii, since it was your idea initially?
Yes. The book was inspired actually by real-life events. There was an actual saga that took place. So the book is a spinoff of the saga and some of the elements of the saga. We originally decided to do a book, but it was going to be a tell-all, a self-truth type book, and we had to change our strategy, and the Sugar Mama fiction book just worked out for us tremendously.
So a lot of it was based on true events, or are you at liberty just to give a little bit of an appetizer to our audience?
I don't know if we're at liberty to give an appetizer, but I will say the Elliot Jr. character is a real-life character, and a lot of those events do have some form of truth in them where he's characterized. A lot of them do. There are a couple of pieces of good fiction thrown in, but a lot of that is who that character was, and it speaks to a narcissistic user, you know.
Yes, I do know. So legend and myth become reality.
Exactly.
So
if I can, go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. So for the folks who haven't had the opportunity to read our novel yet, it's called Sugar Mama, a Keilanii Jennings Saga. So Keilanii Jennings herself is a very feisty, independent, sexy character, but she's very professional. She's about building her business and going after her bag, as they say, or getting her money. She has no problem spending money on the things that she loves and likes, and sometimes that even would include a boy toy here or there. It just so happened that she ended up falling for a guy. She thought that they would build an empire together. He gave her every reason to believe that, and eventually she realized, and he became exposed as a gold digger. So that's what makes the saga interesting and fun and different and very racy for this season.
Well, I think it also lets people know that this is the flip side. Usually when you look at the movies from the early 30s and 40s, it's always about women going out after wealthy men and having them fall in love with them. And I have not ever seen a book turned around so that it's a boy or man who goes out after a wealthy woman and tries to become dependent on her. And I think it's about time somebody did write about that to let people know that behavior is used by both sexes to get what they want, and that guys are just as sly and sneaky. I mean, think of all the verbs and adjectives that are applied to women who go after older wealthy men, and just turn it around and apply those same adjectives to the guy in your book. And there's no difference except one is a man and the other one is a woman. And I think it's really great that you two recognize that and wanted to expose people for who they are.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm so glad that you get it, and that was our intent in the delivery. Women don't talk about it because they're ashamed or embarrassed, but the Keilanii Jennings Saga definitely gives people an opportunity to talk about what's been exposed.
And I think that, I'm sure you have other books planned in the series, but I think an expose of how the kids may do this as well, or is used by the boys' toys to get what they want. Because there's a lot of myths about children and what parents will allow their children to use them for to get what they want. And again, you don't really see it exposed very much because it's always, well, think about it, the ugly stepmother, the evil stepmother. You never hear anything about the ugly step-husband or the evil step-husband because society hasn't set us up that way. It's always, well, quite frankly, the woman's fault.
That's correct.
So it's really refreshing to see you two ladies do something about it. So did you have your own chapters to write and then you sort of mesh everything together, or did you sit down, both of you at the same time, and wrote out the chapters together?
Well, I can speak to that. This is Treavion. Our method, let me also say this. So Lalanii lives predominantly in Dallas, Texas. I live on the West Coast in between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. So quite often we would travel, mostly I would travel to Dallas because Lalani's headquarters are there, and my schedule was just a bit more flexible, or we would meet in different places. And Lalanii would really ideate a great deal of the content per se, and I would record, and it was a process of interviews. And then from there, I would turn it into chapters that we could both read and go through and contribute to. So that was more our process.
Interesting. Now, does one of you have your own business, and have you built it up into an empire?
Lalanii, you want to answer that?
Well, certainly, yes. We both have our own businesses. I have multiple businesses. I work in the child care sector, the home health, hospice sectors, and I have my Mogul 247 brand that's more of a management sector. So I've been a businesswoman for well over 25 years, and I'm not new, to hard work or a stranger to hard work. This was my first book, and it was definitely a project for me. However, I've been a businesswoman, like I said, for well over 25 years. Treavion has her own company, and she's been independent for years as well.
And where's her company involved?
So my company, I'm a storyteller. I've always been a storyteller through my PR and branding business. I also own a film and television production company, as well as a publishing division that not only brings stories to life on film, but also through ghostwriting and supportive writing, co-authoring, and, of course, I've written my own series of PR books under my PR University brand.
So you're both good, hard-working entrepreneurs who know the ins and outs of business, and you also understand the financial operations of a company, which makes a vast difference when you're writing a book like this, because you can really write it from the inside out.
Absolutely. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Absolutely.
Me too. I'm still trying to decide what I want to do when I grow up. So what? I'm an author. I own my own internet talk radio station, and I own my own organic tasty treats bakery here in the house. So yeah, I understand.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Right.
People fight for them. They lock themselves in their bathrooms or their basement and won't let anybody in, because if they do, then they won't get a taste of some of the things I make. I mean, I've gotten stories from some of my clients that tell me that they waylay the postman or past postwoman and snatch the box out of their hands, run like mad into the house. And she said, have you ever sliced one of your large muffins to feed 25 people? Let me tell you,
wow.
It really is difficult. Just give them a taste. And they were already screaming for more. I said, well, I can understand.
Oh, wow. Sounds delectable.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. But I can understand where you can really get a good storyline and put it out there so that people understand that they really need to readjust their attitude towards a businesswoman.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
how have you gone about promoting your book? Have you turned it in a way so to get people's attention for it?
Well, I'm happy to elaborate on that a little bit. Well, first and foremost, we work with a really incredible PR firm, Kayla Tucker Adams PR, and Kayla does her very best to ensure that our press materials, EPK, pitches are sent out to the media regularly across the country. I believe that's how we were able to connect with you, is through the efforts of our amazing PR company. Also, we promote regularly through our digital database. As both Lalanii and I mentioned, we have successful businesses, so we have established databases and audiences who are interested in what we do. We send out regular e-blasts. And we've also grown our social media platforms, specifically at Sugar Mama Book on Instagram and Sugar Mama Book Group on Facebook. We've developed a really interactive community on Facebook. And so we grow those audiences, and even in the midst of the pandemic and the lockdown, of course, the quarantine where we couldn't get out and actually, hit the pavement, meet and greet folks, shake hands like we normally would have done, we created our own virtual book tour series that was promoted through the channels I just mentioned, the PR, the e-blast, the Facebook group, the Instagram, and we started a virtual book tour where every week we would talk to different people, talk about the book, build our audience, answer questions, and go live. Lalanii, can you think of anything else we've done thus far to promote the book?
No, I think you covered it. Why don't you talk about Cocktails and Conversations with Keilanii, and why don't you elaborate a little bit more about the Sunday brunch series that we did?
Okay, great. I will. So another promotional idea that we successfully executed was the virtual book tour series that we called, and we still call, Cocktails with Keilanii. Because Keilanii, of course, is the heroine in the book, and Cocktails with Keilanii is a weekly series where on Sundays, we call it a Sunday brunch series. We choose a cocktail. We go live with our followers, fans, folks who we call our sweeties. Sugar Mama has her sweeties. And we talk about the book, and it's racy topics, and it's sometimes tenuous topics, but we find that the conversations are really helpful to people who are going through these type of relationship issues. And then on Tuesdays, we dig a little deeper on our Instagram Live with those followers, fans that we call sweeties, and that's our Tuesday Tell-All series. And let me tell you, some of those conversations get very, very deep because people get very much, as they say, within their feelings when they start to think about how Keilanii was taken advantage of and how so many women and men are taken advantage of in love relationships.
Absolutely. So one of the questions is that, do you have questions in your book that you provocatively ask people how they can relate to what they're reading in your book to themselves? And you've pretty much answered that.
Right. One thing that Treavion didn't elaborate on was that we do Zoom meetings for book clubs or individuals who are just fans of the book. They get to host a book party. And in their Zooms, a lot of questions come up that I wouldn't necessarily say are personal. They speak to the times, but they have a lot of questions about Keilanii and how she tolerated things so long. So it does get really, really personal in the private book club meetings, and those are always fun.
I bet it is. I bet it is, because it gives people an opportunity really to say, I'm not alone. There are other dodos who have allowed themselves to be taken advantage of, and yet there are solutions that we can take to protect ourselves. For an example, I had a friend, she met a guy, she fell madly in love with him, so she moved in with him for a week. And I said, did you get him to sign an agreement with you? She said, what? I said, an agreement, so that if something happens within the next 24 hours, he can't take your money. He can't hold on to your possessions for hostage for money. He doesn't have the right to throw you out. I said, you really have to think about these things in today's world. 20 years ago, you didn't have to worry as much, but today's world, what they say and what happens are three different things. And so you need to take preventive measures. And she looked at me like I was crazy, and she said, okay, you write something up and I'll have him sign it. So I did. And a week later, he was trying to throw her out. And she trotted out her document and said, you sign this. I had it notarized. We need to talk, because that's what I told her to do. You need to protect yourself in today's world. The 21st century world is a lot different than the 20th century. In the 20th century, you trusted people. In the 21st century, you don't trust people. Not because they're evil, nasty creatures, but they forget what they say. They forget what they've agreed to. And you have to protect yourself from whatever actions they may take against you.
Exactly. You're absolutely right.
And in fact, you need to write a book up based on this theory of the preventive measures, a woman can take to keep herself from being taken advantage of.
Okay. Right. I think that's good to incorporate it, yes.
And incorporate it, because I've got to tell you, in today's world, outside of possession is 99% of the law, the thing of the matter is you don't always pause to think things through. It's your gut has taken over and you rush in. And so I'm a firm believer that I need everything spelled out. And not only do I need it spelled out, but I need your initials on it.
Exactly.
So if you do anything stupid, especially you have a kid, you've got to protect yourself, or you're caregiving for your parents. You've got to protect yourself, because if we're talking about boy toys, they'll go after your assets.
Right. They will, and they do.
And they do. So why should your parents' retirement fund end up in their pants pocket? So I think you got some really good stuff here from the interview today.
Yeah.
to really put and market it to your readers, especially for women, that this is the pocketbook edition of what you need to carry with you. So if you're thrust into a situation, you can pull it out of your pocketbook or take out your cell phone and go to this special folder on your cell phone and flip through it to make sure you're not going to do anything stupid. You're going to do this in a rational manner. Because let's admit it, ladies, when you're in love with somebody or you're emotionally gaga over somebody, your brain takes a back seat.
Definitely.
And you don't really think through what's going to happen. Guys don't have that problem. Have you noticed?
Yes, you're right. They don't think about it.
I'm pretty sure your boy toy was pretty aware of everything he was doing. He has no excuse. But the women are the ones who always seem to get more emotionally involved.
That's correct.
It's true.
Just a thought. Let's stir up your pot a little bit. So, ladies, could you please tell everybody where they can find you on the World Wide Web, where your website is, how to get in contact, and, maybe some advice?
Well, I'll answer about how you find us. First, I'll address how they can find Sugar Mama, okay? She is available, Sugar Mama, a.k.a. Keilanii Jennings Saga, is currently available on the Amazon platform, Amazon.com, Kindle. If anybody's interested specifically in an autographed copy of the book, they can go to @SugarMamaBook on Instagram and send us a direct message, or follow and join our Sugar Mama Book group on Facebook and do the same. Individually, I can be found at Trey Davenport, Trea Davenport, as it sounds, Davenport, on both Instagram and Facebook. And then, of course, everyone can go to www.ultimatesugarmama.com. Lalanii, give everybody your Instagram handles.
My Instagram is Lalanii, LALANIIJ. I also have Mogul 247, and those are my handles. My Facebook is Lalanii Wilson Jones.
And tell them the meetings on Zoom and Monday and Tuesday are both weekly? Or do you need invitations for them?
You do not have to have invitations if you're part of the Facebook group. We've kind of paused it for June and we're revamping, but they'll be coming back real soon.
Okay.
So if you follow us, you'll be able to keep up with it.
And one of the reasons that we're not doing the weekly lives is because we're actually now able to go out. Now that things are opening up a little bit, I just want to mention we are participating in a tour called Black Authors Matter Tour. And the first of those installments is this Saturday in Houston, Texas. Lalani's going to be appearing live, selling the book and autographing the book, and out there with some other authors in a very safe and social distanced setup. And that information can also be found on the platforms that we just talked about. So that's just one of the reasons why we don't have the set schedule for Cocktails with Keilanii. But if anybody wants to set up a Zoom or host a watch party with us, again, if they reach out to those channels, we can and will make it happen.
Terrific. I just want to make sure people can find you either virtually or in person.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen and adults of all ages, you can listen to this interview all over again with the authors of the Sugar Mama series at https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. Right-hand side of the page is the menu. Scroll down, Cool Your Heels with Lillian, and it should show up in the Spreaker player. You can also hear it on iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Spotify, Podchaser, Podcaster, and all the other social networks out there, and also Amazon Alexa, and also on Cool Your Heels every Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Cool Your Heels with Lillian. That's amfm247.com/Lillian Cauldwell. And before you go away and stray, Hugo von Hofmannsthal had this to say in 1922, "We have fewer friends than we imagine, but more than we know." Thank you very much for listening to the interview on Cool Your Heels with Lalanii and Treavion. All have a great day and healthy.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.